Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is October the 5th, 2023, and we are continuing our study on the tithe. In this video, we're going to be looking at we're going to be addressing one of the objections that I heard, that tithe was only on fruit, vegetables, increases of the field, things such as that. So let's look at some of the scriptures that were used. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. This is, as you can see, it's the tithe of the land. It's the fruit and the seed. Oh, you can also tithe of the herd or of the flock, even whatsoever passes under the rod. So, this is the argument. When you tithe, you don't tithe money, you don't tithe cash. You tithe plants, and you tithe of your animals, your flock. And that is what is counted as your increase. We'll look at a few more scriptures. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. The first fruits of thy corn, and thy wine, and of thine oil, and the first of the fleece of thy sheep shalt thou give him. Oh, is this tithe? Hold on. The priests, the Levites, and all the tribe of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offerings of the Lord, made by fire, and his inheritance. Therefore shall they have no inheritance among their brethren. The Lord is their inheritance, as he had said unto them. And this shall be the priest's due from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice, whether it be an ox or a sheep. And they shall give unto the priest the shoulder, and the two cheeks, and the maw. I'm not sure about that, but the first fruits also of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the first of the fleece of thy sheep shalt thou give him. For the Lord thy God has chosen him out of all thy tribes to stand to minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons forever. Okay, so it is part of the, was it the first fruit or the tithe? Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Hold on. Priest. This is the first fruits. It's not the tithe. And I perceive that the portion, we don't need this. We just need this one for now. Then brought all Judah the tithe of the corn and the new wine and the oil unto the treasuries. I guess we did need this. And I perceive that the portion of the Levites had not been given them, for the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled, every one to his field. And I will give you the rain in your land in due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in the corn, the wine, and the oil. Now we know from the previous verses that your tithing, let's go back. Here's one. Hold on. They brought in all Judah the tithe of the corn, the wine, and the oil. That's the first fruit. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed and of the field, that the field bringeth forth year by year. And then there's another one down here. Oh, well, we're not going to look at that. And all the tithe of the land, whether it be a seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And then you have the tithe of the herd of flock. So it's the tithe from the land. And then when we get to this verse, It says the tithe of the corn, of the wine, and of the oil. Well, the wine and oil is not of the land. Don't you find that peculiar? But it'll say that it is when we get here. I will give you rain of your land in its due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thy oil. The reason why they say it like this is because corn is what you eat. That's your food. If you're just gathering in barley or something like that, it's not nearly as nice a grain as corn or flour. The much sweeter grain is corn. And corn, I think, is considered the best in the Bible. But then you also have flour, which can be substituted. I guess it depends upon the taste. They're both very sweet. And so the finest is the corn. Wine, although it does have medicinal uses in the Bible, it's a drink. It's much finer than water. So it's a fine drink. And then oil is a beauty product. Oil oil, I should have put that verse in here. I don't know if I did. I think it says it makes the face shine or something like that. I don't know if I put that in here. This is everything. This is all the finest of everything. I will give you the rain of your land in its due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn, thy wine, and thine oil. They couldn't put money down here. It might have been changed. They couldn't put silver and gold, because then you would have put silver and gold. So they put something down, a symbol of what wealth and increase was. You shall gather in your corn, your food. You shall gather in your wine, your drink. If you're tithing of these things, this is exactly the same thing as your money. Because you're not gathering in wine and oil. Think about it like this. We saw the verses where it said tithe, and we're going to look at more, where it says bring in your tithe, and then by all due to the tithe of the corn, the new wine, and the oil. If they were tithing according to the land, of course they could not bring in wine. So in order for that to happen, a couple of things had to happen. Either the priest said, hey, go ahead and keep all of our grapes and make wine out of it. Or the man took his share of the tithe. He sold it to go ahead and keep all of our tithe, make wine out of it, and then bring us our share of the wine. Or the man took his 90%, sold it or traded it to someone. They made wine out of it. And then their profits from the sale of wine went to the priest. The wine. Same thing with the oil. These are processed goods. Let's look at some more scriptures. I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the corn, and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. This was my scripture to show you that corn is symbolic, just a food. It's just symbols that are used. But it includes wealth. It's all wealth. And wine that maketh glad, there are also scriptures in here that define increase. You shall tithe all of your increase. But I think it was specific, your increase of the seed and stuff like that. So maybe that doesn't apply. And wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. Now, this really doesn't have a lot to do with the subject. We're going to address this separately, but I felt it was worth mentioning that even after Jesus died, the Leviticus, the priests, were still active and acknowledged by Paul. For if he were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are, present tense, priests that offer gifts according to the law, who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things. They're in place and they're acknowledged by Paul. Now we're going to address that separately, but I felt like it was worth mentioning here as well. As soon as the commandment came abroad, the children of Israel brought in abundance the first fruits of corn. I was slipping here. I put in the first fruits again of corn, wine, and oil, and honey, and of all the increase of the field. And the tithe, here it is, and the tithe of all things brought they in abundantly. Of all things. And he gathered together the priests and the Levites and said to them, Go out into the cities of Judah and gather of all Israel money to repair the house of your God from year to year. That's the tithe. And see that ye hasten the matter. Howbeit the Levites hastened it not. And the king called for Jehoiada the chief, and said unto him, Why hast thou not required of the Levites to bring in out of Judah and out of Jerusalem the collection, according to the commandment of Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the congregation of Israel for the tabernacle of witness? It's the collection for the tabernacle, which is supposed to be allocated to the upkeep, to the workers, to the priests, to the people that serve in the house of God. And it has been ordained by Moses. That's why it says, according to the commandment of Moses. It's the tithe. But you can tell it's the tithe up here because it says from year to year. Because they give in the season, because if your apples come to harvest in April, then you will harvest your apples in April. I'm sorry, June would be much better. In June, then you harvest your apples in June, and then you have to wait another year for that season to come around to get another harvest. So from year to year. And when they came to Hilkiah, the high priest, they delivered the money, again money, that was brought into the house of God, which the Levites that kept the door had gathered of the hands of Manasseh and Ephraim, and of all the remnant of Israel, and of all Judah and Benjamin, and they returned to Jerusalem. And they put it in the hand of the workmen. Now, this doesn't say tithe, but it does tell you that it's being allocated to the workmen. And they put it in the hand of the workmen that had the oversight of the house of the Lord. And they gave it to the workmen that wrought in the house of the Lord to repair and amend the house, which is what the tithe was used for. So it doesn't say it outright, but it does imply that the money came from the king and all the people of Israel in order to support the work that was done in the house of God. And that fits the definition. Storehouses also for the increase of corn and wine and oil, and stalls for all manner of beasts, and coats for flocks. I'm not sure why I put that in here. Therefore God gave, let me go back and see if, and read before and after, maybe I skipped something. No, okay, I'm not sure why I put that in here. Let's just continue on. Therefore God gave thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of earth and plenty, corn and wine. Yeah, we'll just continue on. I'm not sure. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil. I think this is our last scripture here. No, there's a couple more. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. So here, he gives her corn, wine, and oil, and he multiplied her silver and gold, which was given to Baal. Again, he can use silver and gold here because that's going to Baal. But he uses the symbols to describe the wealth that is applied to her in order to clarify things, to make them less complicated, not to make them more complicated. We have names for our money, and money is used. The word money is used. But to say, I honestly believe, I'm going to tell you the truth, I believe that there was some sort of exchange, maybe the shekel or something like that had been used. But because they needed to apply interest, they put that false doctrine in the Bible about adding 5% if you exchange the animal for cash, or you convert it to cash or something like that. I believe any instances where they used the money of the temple was taken out in order to uphold the deception of you have to pay 5% usury in order to make an exchange. But he couldn't just apply any regular technique in order for it to withstand all of the changes in the scrutiny, in order for the message to make it through to us. I think they took out what was in here that was written in plain English, but they didn't change the symbols. Here, the silver and gold was left in because it's not referring to God and his people. They didn't need to change this. This is about Baal. But let's move on. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not left the other undone. I wanted to do this separately. I don't know why I put it in here. I remember why I put it in here. When I was watching the video saying that you didn't have to tithe on your money, one of the scriptures that they gave as proof was this, and I felt like they misinterpreted it. They said that they were paying tithe on mint and anise and cumin, but these weren't crops. The fact that these aren't crops, to me, that these are just herbs that they would have grown in a maybe in a box or in a plant. I mean, as plants, they wouldn't have used their land. They wouldn't have used their fields to grow herbs, is what they were saying. And that, to me, automatically means that they tithed other than crops in the field. These are herbs. I think that they were just pushing too hard in just trying to fight back by whatever means necessary. And they just didn't want this to be an accurate scripture. But it has the word tithe right here. And Jesus is acknowledging it. And I understand why you don't want to see people cheated. But you're cheating yourself. If you say you don't have to tithe when you have to tithe, you're robbing yourself of a blessing. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to hurt yourself. And you're actually hurting others too as well. You don't want to hurt yourself specifically, and you don't want to hurt others by robbing them of the blessing that they could receive by tithing. It's a blessing. It's not a curse. It's not a sin. That's for sure. It's similar to the health laws. You do it, you're blessed. You don't, then your blessing is just withheld. But the blessing that's withheld is one of increase in wealth. Just like if the health laws, the blessing that's withheld is about health. It's not a sin. This, Jesus acknowledged, and this is not a crop. It grows, but it's not a crop. In the same verse I think I have next. But woe unto you, Pharisees, for ye tithe mint and rue and all manner of herbs, and pass over judgment and the love of God. These ought you to have done. You should be tithing everything and not leave the other undone. It was written to be hidden from the people who were changing the Bible. Plain and simple. They had it in here. The prophets had it in here. I'm certain of that. They had it in here. Shekels, whatever form of money they were using. They couldn't use currency though. They just couldn't use it. They could use it in stories, but not when it came to tithe, because we see how they've already destroyed the law for tithing as it is. We see how they plucked over it and put all kinds of lies in there. So, let me go back. I think that's the last of it. This was the last of the scriptures, though. So, yes, it's money, and there are scriptures in here that show them tithing money. But the wording is, but the tithe is symbol. It's symbolized by wine and oil. Corn is the only food. Wine is a processed good. Oil is a processed good. Everything gets tithed. All right, I'll leave it at that. And I'll talk to you more about tithing in the next video.